This is going to be a second preview of the Ravens-Jets clash on Sunday in Week 1 of the NFL regular season. My first preview was about the Jets' use of the split zone concept and how they block the backside outside linebacker or edge player. Hopefully you checked that out. It came out earlier tonight. I'm trying to focus these previews in on certain concepts or elements that each team uses. Being quite familiar with the Ravens offense, obviously from being a content creator for 2 years now, focused on the Ravens, I feel like I can push those out later in the week. I'm trying to focus on the Jets offense early this week, and this one's going to be a little unusual, to be honest with you. Probably a little more unusual than the first video, which focused on one specific play, and I think I showed you 8 examples of it. This is the Jets' use of double pass, or throwback pass, as some people call it. Trick play, basically. I feel it's one of the more safe trick plays to use, and I'm going to offer my opinion to you as to why the Jets use it. And I won't be quoting a ton of stats, but unfortunately I'm going to have to quote some, to be honest with you. And I'm just so you know, I'm not a huge stats person on this channel. I try to show the film, break it down the best I can. I think that's what people come here for. If you want stats, go to another channel. This is actually an example of split zone, similar to the first video. You'll see them try to cut this backside edge player, go low, and try to prevent him from closing down on that run play from the backside, give the running back, a potential two-way go, a front side go, and then, maybe a cutback or wind back on the backside. Why am I showing you goal line plays, first of all? Well, my contention is that the Jets use the double pass and some of the other trick play concepts to try to avoid being in this situation right here. This is the first of 8 plays that I'm going to show you from their game against Jacksonville in 2021. And they get stopped on a 4th down here. They do convert the second 4th and goal, but you're talking about 8 plays from around the 5-yard line or closer. And they had to utilize a tackle eligible pass play to score. I'm not trying to run down the Jets offense. If this is your first time watching, one of my videos, I'm just bluntly trying to explain to you why I'm going to talk about trick plays, and I only have 3 examples of them. I guess 4. Because I don't think the Jets last year were very good in these short yardage situations. The only data that I have to quote for you is that I think they were 20th in red zone scoring last year. So, other than that, I'm not going to quote data to you. You're free to look that up yourself. This is a 3rd and goal play where they're designing this for the running back as a backside option on the drag, and then a front side option running towards the pylon. But you can see there's immediate pressure in Zach Wilson's face. He's got to get rid of this ball quickly. Were he to have more time, certainly, you would think that he's going to get the ball to that running back running across left to right. As it stands, throwing it out of bounds, incomplete, leads to a 4th down. 4th down, they go empty, and I think what you're going to see initially is Zach Wilson's looking to the left or something here. He might be looking for this running back. We're losing a little bit of the the route from the top side of the screen just because of the resolution that NFL offers the film to us. So all covered over there on the left side, comes back to the right side. For whatever reason, he's looking over here right now. And this slant where the receiver basically was pushing off, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you have to push off it sometimes. Sometimes he's pushing off to try to create space for Zach Wilson to throw this ball back over to in between the E and the T in Jets. And for whatever reason, Zach Wilson, when he looks back over here to the right, there's no route from that side of the field. Comes back to number 11. I don't even know his name at this point, to be honest with you. Incomplete pass. Stopped by Jacksonville's defense on 4th and goal inside the 5-yard line, which is, somewhat surprising because Jacksonville did not have a great defense last year. So, same situation later in the game. I think 2 possessions later, it might have been the very next possession. Split zone, first and goal, which is the same exact concept they ran on the last 1st down I showed you 4 plays ago. The H-back tries to kind of cut that edge player or that backside outside linebacker. The angle created is kind of different or weird by this edge player, so the cut doesn't happen the same way as it does in some of these other situations. He kind of catches the guy because he changed the target area. He shifted down 6, really came down the line, closed off, tightly. And I don't like the roll. That's the part of this that would piss me off. And I don't know if the roll was intentional by 81. I switched back to the all-22. I don't know if the roll was intentional or if it was because the contact area was changed by the edge player. But there appears to be some type of roll. He might have just actually got thrown by the edge player. So when you talk about, like Kayvon Thibodeau and the injury he suffered in the preseason, I think it was a cut block by Thaddeus Moss. People were saying, should that block be illegal? No, it should not. But if there's ever any attempt to roll, which on second look it doesn't exactly appear that he was trying to roll, if there's any ever attempt to roll, I got a different opinion about that. That's BS. That's Bush League. That's not the type of thing that people should be doing at any level of football. An attempt to roll is basically trying to roll up someone after cutting them low, and I'm not a fan of that. Second down play, you got a downhill run action. That's the wrong D-tackle circle. This guy's the guy that's going to make the play, 95. He's going to drive this offensive lineman in the backfield, and then Shed, along with the inside linebacker, number 50, make a great play on second and goal. Third and goal here. Now, keep in mind the one player that I just pointed out to you, number 50, inside linebacker. He made a great play filling the gap there. And this is him covering the running back and making an unbelievable tackle short of the pylon. It's a crack scheme, basically, by the Jets. So they're going to crack this strong safety with, I think that's Braxton Berrios, and then get the running back out into the flats. Watch this linebacker run like a safety over the top. He's not going to get caught up in the trash. When you play linebacker, or at least the terminology I'm used to, you got to avoid the trash. This is trash right here. It's in your way. You got to get around it. You got to step around it. And he does. Unbelievable play. 2 great plays by number 50 back-to-back. Really cool to see, especially being someone like myself who's got a lot of experience coaching inside linebackers. He's going to fold over the top. Clearly the Jets were trying to pick him or screen him, whatever you want to call it. Sets up a 4th down. Jets go under center. 23 personnel, I would say a fullback and a tailback, so a typical 2-back formation with an eligible offensive tackle on the backside up top. Nothing shows for Zach Wilson at first. He retreats, kind of tries to extend the play. I'm not sure who he's throwing the ball to. I kind of suspect he may have been throwing the ball here, but I can't make that judgment. I didn't watch the post-game interviews. Like, if you're a Jets fan, you probably did, and I certainly didn't go look up that information this year. I'm just going off the film. Great throw. If he's throwing it to that backside, that eligible tackle. A great catch by that backside tackle, for real. There he is, working his way from our right to left, left to right for the offense, obviously. Pressure in Zach Wilson's face immediately. That's one thing you see with the offensive line, that especially the left side, I thought they had trouble all year long, at least from the film that I've got. A great catch, unbelievable catch. So getting back to my overall point, how did they have to convert the 8th consecutive goal line or inside the 5 play against a Jacksonville defense that I think we'll agree was not that talented? They had to go to a tackle eligible that may not have even been the intended receiver. If it was, fine. If it wasn't, it really doesn't matter for the purposes of this point. They want to avoid those situations altogether, at least the way they called plays last year. The addition of Garrett Wilson as a receiver, C.J. Uzoma, clearly upgrades certain talent there. Don't get me wrong. You've got a double pass here. I think it's Jamison Crowder is the backwards pass. What does this do? This is man by Awuzie, who's a great football player. So he makes contact with Crowder as he's throwing the football. It's a safe play, though, because you can always just throw the ball out of bounds. You're outside the pocket anyway. Not sure if that rule even applies to a wide receiver who's throwing a pass for real. But even as a quarterback, if you're the recipient of that pass back to you and then trying to make what essentially turns into a triple pass, you can still throw the ball out of bounds because generally the design of the play is going to get you outside the pocket. Why do you do this? Well, you want to avoid certain situations and create big plays. They may not have to do as much with Garrett Wilson around, for real, because he's a great player, great talent. What it does generally is it forces players to see the ball thrown initially and react to it. And sometimes players give up on their key. So I don't know if you can see this on the left side of the screen. I think it's cut off a little bit. Eli Apple is definitely looking in here. You can say whatever you want about Eli Apple. It really doesn't matter who the player is. People need to stop judging just based on the player. What it does is if your key is the wide receiver, or your key is the tight end, or your key is the guard, but you see the little brown leather football thrown out to the edge, you're going to react to that in most cases. That's just instinct for a football player. They want to go make plays, all right? Another example of it from the same game, I think 2 possessions later, and you're going to get this like little shallow over route by Crowder, who just threw the pass a moment ago. First pass to the running back to Mike White. Again, he's outside the pocket, right? So he could throw this ball away if no one's open. I think that's what makes it a smart trick play. Now, the Bengals safeties are not fooled, and because they are disciplined. They generally look at their key like you're supposed to. Crowder still gets open. Mike White, who I think is a really underrated football player, underrated quarterback. I think he's got a lot of the characteristics to be a starter in this league. And by the way, in case you haven't noticed it, up at the top. Actually, it's not showing. Sorry, I thought my data was showing. It's not. Forgive me. Next preview I do, I'll show all the data at the top. There's the second pass back to Mike White. You see the design of it. They've pulled a tackle to try to help out in case a rusher was to pursue. Big gain, 13 yards to Crowder. Last one I'm going to show you, and this one's kind of crazy, for real. If you're a Jets fan, I'm sure you've seen it already. Not necessarily a double pass. It's just a handoff to Berrios. It works out like a double pass, but watch where White goes. Zach Wilson goes. Watch him again. All right, I'm going to pull this back. He intentionally well, first of all, he's getting backwards to give Berrios, a legal target in terms of throwing the football. Makes sense. He's also getting outside of the pocket so that if there is pressure, he has the option to throw the ball away. Now, I think he should have thrown this football. I really think he should have thrown this football to this guy here or this deeper threat here. But for whatever reason, he thinks he's got pressure such that he can't get the ball off. The Dolphins are, getting after him, and then Zach Wilson makes an even better play by throwing it back to the tight end, who, if you ask me, was the intended receiver on the play anyway. So I'm going to pull this all the way back. Now watch the tight end. He's the guy who ends up, down here. Watch what he does. Looks like a block on the edge, a failed block, if it is. Looks like a block on the edge, maybe for a Berrios sweep. And so it's a delay release. So I call it Y delay. And clearly, as I pointed out once before, he's open. The Jets, will they need to do... Well, let's do it this way. In the comments section, let me know if you think they'll need to do this as much. Am I saying that their offense is all trick plays? No. Don't come on here and say that. That's not what I'm saying. I've got 130 plays in my database that I've tracked and that I've created data for. And that data, I think I had 3 double pass plays. And I had 1 tackle eligible play. Okay? So that data isn't that significant, less than 1% of the overall plays. But you really don't see double pass a whole lot in the NFL. You don't see it a lot in college football, for real. I've got 4 games of film, and I've got double pass 3 times from 2021. To me, that's a pretty significant number. You may disagree about whether that's significant or not. I offer to you that the Ravens defenders, their safeties and linebackers need to read their keys and trust their keys and not always trust their eyes when the ball is thrown out there to the edge, because it could be a double pass. It could be leading them to a false key. I'm on record as saying that I think this game will be far closer than a lot of people surmise. Last year, the Ravens had a really difficult Week 1 opponent, the Raiders, who clearly had some high-level talent, and Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, as it turns out, was way better than people presumed in Week 1 last year or going into the 2021 season. Certainly the Raiders have a ton more talent overall that's recognized, right, with the addition of Devontae Adams. I think this Jets team is similar to the Raiders team that the Ravens went to face in Las Vegas in Week 1 last year. I don't think the Jets are similar to this year's Raiders team. So let me reiterate that. But they're hungry. I think they've got great young additions. I will have a video out on Ahmad Gardner, who I just think the sky is the limit as a defender. Adding Jermaine Johnson as well, I think is going to be huge. Their inside linebackers are solid. I think their D-line is scary good at times. This offense for the Jets, though, I would offer is probably the relative weakness. You guys who have watched more Jets film or are Jets fans watching, let me know in the comments section if that is accurate. The addition of Garrett Wilson, CJ Uzoma, could help, clearly. There's so much uncertainty, though, as it stands. This is Monday evening as I record this, Labor Day evening. because who's going to play quarterback? Who's going to play quarterback in week 1? Everyone for that's a Ravens fan, we jumped out of our seats when we heard that it might be Flacco, because it's like, if that's not evidence that we're living in a simulation, the computer couldn't generate another quarterback to possibly step in for an injured Zach Wilson, and they had to regurgitate Joe Flacco back at us in week 1. I mean, just really weird stuff. I personally think Mike White is the guy who looks to run the offense the smoothest. And again, my sample size is only 130 plays, so I haven't watched every single play of every Jets game from 2021. Certainly Mike White didn't play in all of them, but the one that I did watch specifically was the Bengals game. And I watched it because the Ravens had just gotten whipped by the Bengals the week before in Baltimore. And the same Bengals team went to New York, and Mike White tore them up. Now, granted, Mike White had a ton of 3-step drop, which is quick pass plays. So the Bengals play off coverage. Their safeties and corners are deep. Their corners are 7 to 9 yards off. Their safeties are 10 to 12. So they're kind of giving up, quick game stuff at times. All right? Understood. Also, the Jets screened the Bengals a lot. So Mike White benefited from a lot of that. I understand that. And it's also reactionary to how the Bengals played defense against the Ravens the week before. The Jets coaches and players were able to watch that and identify things that they could take advantage of. All I know is they did it. And Mike White did it. So it's difficult for me to say Mike White's better. Zach Wilson's better. Joe Flacco's better. Well, resume-wise and career accomplishments, Joe Flacco's in a different universe than those guys. But at this point, watching the offense, it almost seems like Mike White is a little smoother with running the offense, the whole gamut of the offense. And if you ask me, makes quick decisions. If you ask me, is pretty safe with the football. The upside for Zach Wilson is obviously higher. In this game against Miami that I showed you one clip of here, Zach Wilson had a 52-yard touchdown run, I believe. Kind of amazing. I think it was against Miami. Could have been home now that memory serves. But in any case, are they going to have to run as many trick plays? Do you think they're going to have to run as many trick plays? I think they will run them. Do they have to? I don't know. But it's good to show certain trick plays early in the season and let defenses have to see it to try to keep them on their key. Try to keep them reading their key and be a half step late if it's not a double pass. Okay, so in any case, that's my second preview for the Ravens-Jets game. They've both been kind of laser focused on certain concepts. The first one, split zone run game, that the Jets do a nice job of, honestly. And the second one, this double pass, where I kind of parlayed that into talking about their what I perceive to be short yardage difficulty, goal line difficulty, maybe even red zone difficulty. And I think those two things are related, the double pass / trick plays and the short yardage difficulty. I think those things are related. If you have more experience watching this current Jets team from last year and or the preseason in 2022, let me know if that observation is accurate or not. My next preview will focus on Ahmad Gardner for the Jets and how the Ravens might attempt to attack him with the pass game, but it's kind of difficult to do so because no one's thrown at him yet in the NFL. If you appreciate my content, please consider subscribing to the channel. And then let me know if you have any other ideas for previews, because I have an open day on Friday where I could push something out. And typically on Saturday mornings, I will live stream content related to the Ravens' upcoming game. If you're a Jets fan, you're certainly welcome to join in on that. Appreciate you guys checking out the video.